he was also pretty good. Officers are really good. Yeah, matter of fact, if I'd stayed over there, they were going to send me through a Mustang program. I'd had done my tour all over again, but they were going to train me, and I was going to come back as a first lieutenant. Yeah, I already signed up for that, but of course I didn't make it. I got shot up pretty bad. But officers over there were pretty good, but you had some pretty bad ones. And I was fortunate that I had some dandies, real good guys that took care of their troops. Yeah.
So what would the difference between a bad one and a good one be?
A bad one, they didn't last long because it was like Lieutenant Sims, he was a bad one. He didn't take care of his men, and his men are supposed to take care of him, but it didn't happen. Usually they didn't make it. And usually what they call fragging, you throw a frag in their bunkers, stuff like that. I didn't see any of that, but I knew it happened. That was a badass officer. Well, okay, for one thing, our lieutenant lost a couple fingers. He got a TRICOM, a grenade got him. They sent him back to the rear, to the hospital. We got a brand new lieutenant, we call him Brown Bar. He's just from the States, from training. He said, Sergeant, we're going down this trail down here. I said, you might go down that trail, but it had footprints of the enemy. I says, that's just looking for trouble. He says, we've got orders. Get your butt down that hill and take the men down there. I said, it's not going to happen. And I said, any men want to go with him down the trail down here? Lieutenant Brown was his name. And they said, no. They all got back to me. So we got back to the rear area, and he wanted me written up for insubordination, disrespecting an officer and not taking orders. And so my company commander comes up to him, and he says, well, what was the deal? And he told me, he looked at me, and he grabbed the lieutenant, just picked him up. He says, you big dummy, he just saved your life. He said, and you're going to write him up. Well, we just joined him. He says, no, not for you. So we never saw him again. Where he went, I have no idea. But he was worthless. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you keep like a personal diary or anything like that?
No, it's up here. I can remember almost day to day what happened over there, but no, you really didn't have time because the only thing the way you keep something dry was in your helmet. So you kept your riding gear up in your helmet, and then monsoons, the weather still got in there, mold and mildew, everything else, but you couldn't keep anything dry. Everything was wet. Well, look at that Bible. I mean, that went through the monsoons. It's really frayed, and but it's that was an induction center. The little old gal come walking around with a basket full of them. She says, "Sir, would you like the Bible?" I says, "You know, ma'am, at this moment, I know where I'm going." Yes, I would. And that was the Bible she gave me. And I carried it with me the whole time. And that pocket there, you're supposed to have your battle dressing there. But I kept my Bible there. And you see inside of the helmet, put your trust in God and may the Lord be with us.
Yeah.
I was very religious over there. Yeah. You'll never find an atheist in a foxhole. I guarantee you. We had two guys that do it. I would say prayers before we'd go on night ambush or patrols. Two guys wouldn't do it. Nah, I'm not into that, not into that. They got, one night they got a Chi-Com into them, and they got peppered. They weren't killed or anything. And first things out of their mouths, please, Lord, don't let me die. Please, God, help me, please, God. I turned around the rest of the guys, I said, there you go. So you're real religious over there, let me tell you. You bet you anything that could help.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yeah, I was blown apart. I was in pretty bad shape, real bad shape. Yeah, and I knew I wasn't going to make it. I'm sure. Matter of fact, I'm laying there and hurt pretty bad. I tried to get up. I kept getting up. Every time I get up, I'd get shot again. But I'd get grenades out there, and then I just finally laid back, and they bayoneted me. And I just I looked at the radio. Lieutenant's, my call sign was Delta Papa 22. He's yelling, Papa 22, 22, 22, 22, get a sit rep, situation report. I'm just looking at the radio. I couldn't do a thing, Then finally they came down to us. There was a big battle. They came down to us, and they yelled over there, Sarge is hit, Sarge is hit, Sarge is hit. So Cormac goes, run up, Sarge, he said, oh man, you're bad, oh my God. I said, I'm all right, I'll be all right. He said, yeah, no, you'll be all right, you'll be okay. And you used to tell the guys, even if they got their legs blown off, so they wouldn't go into shock, you're going to be all right. your legs are gone. You know, they said, no, my legs are gone. No, they're right here. Sarge, you wouldn't lie to me, would you? I said, no, you're gonna be fine. You knew they were gonna die, but you had to calm them down, so they wouldn't scream and this and that and that and this. And I'm laying there, and Doc Solori, he come up to me, Sarge, you're going home, man. He said, you got your ticket home. I grabbed him from a good hand, this one here, grabbed him from here. I says, I'm not gonna say what I said, because it was a cuss word. Don't mess with me, but they had the other words. And he says, yeah, you hurt too bad, you're gonna die. I said, thank you for being honest with me. And so the lieutenant came over, the other corpsman came over, now he's dead. And they put me in a body bag, and there I was. And I tell you what, if we were in a body bag, there's no parties going on. There's no nothing. It's dark and it's scary. I was in a body bag for at least 2 hours. Yeah. But that was, like I say, I came out smelling like a rose, as far as I'm concerned.
What do you do? Well, you were probably in the hospital actually. So after that, did you go back to school or anything? Or?
Yeah, I got out of the hospital system. Yeah, about a little over a year in the major hospital systems. Then they sent me to the outpatients, like the VA clinic in Portland, Madigan Hospital in Fort Lewis, for a few things, this and that, minor stuff, therapy, this and that and this. So I went to school. Yes, I immediately signed up for school and went to. I didn't go to Oregon State. The forestry program that they had was a 4-year program when I wanted to go into it. When I came back, it was a 6-year program. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to handle 6 years. So I went to Portland State, and political science, history major, or minor, history as a minor. But then I was a supervisor post office, postmaster in the LeGrand. So I did go to college on the GI Bill, used that, which was a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I did go to college.
Did you join any veterans organizations after you were in?
Yeah, we have a Case on Veterans Organization. I'm the secretary of that. Then we have a 1-9, the Walking Dead Association. I'm the secretary of that also. But, and I was, in LeGrand, I was the bigwig of the VFW, commander of the VFW post. But you know, we got treated pretty bad, and I was surrounded when I first got there by 4 guys that were in World War II. He says, you weren't in a real war. We were. And I said, what do you mean? I said, how many times you guys get shot? Well, none. How many times you get shot at? Well, none. And you're telling me I wasn't in a war? I did my year, then got out. But that's what the organizations, that's why they're all dying off, because the young guys are not going to put up with that. The wars we have going now, a war is a war. And they wouldn't acknowledge us or address the fact that we were in some type of a war, be it a police action or a full-scale war. We're still in the same boat. And so I got out of it, and no, I didn't have time for that. It was just too political.
What does that stand for?
That means forever God. Whew. And I'd have to keep penciling that in, inking that in, because the monsoon would wash it out, and that big cross right there, like I say, you get religion over there, because any little bit of help, if it's there, take it. You know, that's why I'd always look up there, oh, please, Lord, get me out of this mess, would you? I'll be a good boy. I promise. Yeah.
And then what did you do go to do as a career after the work?
I was a meat cutter. Went into school, and I was a meat cutter, and that just wasn't my thing, being cold all day and wet and things of that nature. So I joined the post office and retired from the post office.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about the war, about military in general?
Oh yeah, it did. I realized that you know, you always have. You don't have to have wars, but there's always going to be wars. Yeah, you know, my military experience really helped me in life. It really did. I give a lot of speeches like this here, and like PTSD. You guys probably know what PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. A lot of guys and gals are coming back now, and I have some stayed 2 weeks at a time with me that they're almost suicidal, and I try to calm them down and let them know that, hey, there's people here, and you know, this and that, and it's just, it's pretty tough. But I give a lot of speeches, like to veterans groups, and, because I saw a lot of combat. And they look up to me, and the PTSD is, the demons are there from war, the nightmares are just horrible, they're horrendous. The demons, they asked me, how would you ever get rid of your demons, Sarge? I says, well, you don't get rid of them, you work with them. You have to work with them, 100%. You can never let them get the upper hand. And so that works with a lot of people, but a lot of guys just having tough times. Just too many guys are taking their lives nowadays. And it's just tough. But it's, you know, like coming to you guys today, people need to know what war is all about. It's the most nastiest thing in the world. I wish there were no wars, but it's inevitable. They're going to be here forever. But and you guys decide to get in the military, stuff like that, if you're in a combat situation, listen to your squad leader. He's going to save you. That's the guy that's going to save you. I don't know if you guys ever plan on a military career, but it's not that bad. It's, be honest with you, had I made second lieutenant, I would have probably stayed in for 30 years. I liked it. It's kind of sad to say all the garbage I went through, but after that combat situation, I'd have been back to the rear, and I think I'd had a good military life. I really do. So military is not that bad, but it's not for everybody. So it's probably maybe 10% of the population can handle the military, if that. But it made a better person of me, though, I guarantee you, my experiences in the military and overseas.
Is there any advice you'd like to give us, or anything you want to say?
Yeah, just, boy, if you go into service, keep your nose clean. Like I say, listen to your squad leader. He's gonna help you out 1,000%. Now see, when I went in, was drafted, I was 18 years old. I couldn't vote in this country, and I couldn't have a beer in my country. And I came back, I was a war hero. I was decorated. I was 19 years old when I came back. I went to a bar down in San Francisco. And, give me a beer. He said, see some ID. I showed him ID. He said, you're only 19 years old, buddy. Out, get out of here. I said, I tell you what. I told him I was a war hero, heavily decorated. I just did a man's job. And I told him I was going to burn the place down. And my buddy, he says, he'll do it. He'll burn this place down. I had an attitude. And he said, ho, 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 ho. So he set us in the back. We got to drink beer every time we went in there. Beer was free. Heck of a nice guy. He said, don't cause any problems. Just sit back there and don't say a word. Just be cool. So we did. He was a great guy. So he understood where I was coming from. And when I was in college, we'd have a lot of the dignitaries come in and politicians come in. And Governor, then Edith Green was in there. One day I cornered her. I asked her, why did you send me over to do a man's job at 18 years old? I couldn't vote in this country. I couldn't have a beer in this country. I came back and I was treated like a kid again. I says, what's going on with this? I says, I want an answer. She says, I'll look into it and get back to you. I said, that'll never happen because I've asked this question 1,000 times. They didn't have an answer. I was very bitter when I came back because of that. But you're an adult, you can go fight a man's war, but you can't vote in this country, and you can't even have a beer. You're not responsible enough to even have a beer. So that really bothered me. I didn't think I was right, but none of the politicians had an answer. They wanted to hurry up and get out of harm's way, because I was pretty adamant about it. Yeah.
So, is there anything that you would just like to add? Any like specific stories, interesting stories, or anything like that you'd have?
Interesting stories. I've got a ton of them. I'll tell you that.
Hit me.
But no, it's just a lot of it. Like I say, war is pure hell, and I wish there was never ever a war because it leaves scars on more than just the guy that was a guy or gal that was in combat. It leaves scars on your brothers, sisters. I would not say a word about me being in Vietnam. I would get cheap airline tickets to come home because you got a military discount. I would go in the bathroom and change in civilian clothes because we were it was pretty bad. When I came back from Portland, from all the hospitals and whatnot, I had to be on the tarmac in Portland. I couldn't go up to the ramp because there were protesters there. They brought a wheel thing out there, stairs down there, but I couldn't walk down because of my leg. And my arm was bad, so I had to use half an arm, and the poor stewardesses, boy, they had a heck of a time getting me down there, but they had to do that because of my safety. You know, that's one of the things we went through. We were baby killers. It wasn't a very popular war and whatnot, but it was sad. Matter of, well, in Portland there's a guy handing out leaflets of anti-war, and well, thank God he was a tall, skinny guy, but he was upside down in the garbage can. That's all right. Yeah, and I got put in handcuffs a few times for the protests and stuff like that, but the police sergeants, stuff like that, sympathized with me. They said, you just can't be doing that stuff, but go ahead, you're all right, go ahead. There was I was in the VA hospital getting my schooling, trying to get my schooling, second story. A guy sat next to me, and nothing against long hair. I was a long-haired hippie in Portland State. Headbands, drove in Austin Ely, peace, love, dope, man. So I have nothing against long hair. But this guy was sitting next to me, and he was a kid, and he had an NBA hat on with a star on it. I says, oh, your dad sent that home from the war, from Vietnam? He says, no, I'm for the cause. I says, so you're against America? And he says, yeah, that's right. Well, the window in the VA office there would only go up so far, then they'd lock. I had his hat out there, had him half stuffed out there, and I was going to push him, I was going to get him, but ended up in handcuffs. Sorry. I was told I couldn't be doing this. So I went back in there, and the guy telling me, he says, oh, you want to go to school, huh? I said, yeah, I do. Folk rehab, what it was. Being wounded, you're disabled and whatnot. He says, well, our records here only show that you've been to Vietnam, buddy. And I said, well, I tell you, I grabbed him over his desk, I had him pulled up, you just about ready to knock him, and the guy grabbed him off mine. I'm in handcuffs again. So the third time I go up in there, he says, do we need to cuff you? So, yeah, I'll behave, I'll be good. But see, you come back, you're in a war zone of that nature, stuff like that, you come back with an attitude. And thank God I've calmed down. It's just, I'm still a big, tough Marine, but I'm not overboard. Yeah, just, any other questions?
Throw it on the paper,
Any questions from the audience here?
Just real quick, how long did you said your parents were notified that you hadn't survived. How long were they in that frame of mind?
They didn't find out two weeks later. Then I was in pretty bad shape in Japan, a hospital, Yokohama, Japan, Army hospital. My brother called me, because my parents being deaf, so he called, and I was in La La Land. I had dysentery and malaria at the same time, so I was in real bad shape. And he got hold of the doctor, and the doctor said he's got a 50-50 chance of making it. He says he's in pretty bad shape. But then he got another telegram saying that I was still alive, but I was a double amputee. I'd lost a leg and an arm. And they sent me to Oakland Naval Hospital. They thought that for over a month. They sent me to Oakland Naval Hospital in Oakland, California, and my folks came down to see me down there. Well, I still had my hand, my arm, and my leg. My leg was so bad, I had a wound all the way through it, and the corpsman would just drive me, because I had so much shrapnel and bone and stuff in there, that big old cotton swab about like that, they just, they couldn't handle it. But I had no feeling down there, so I'd do it myself. And so one corpsman over there, and I said, there's that pillow over there, get some feathers out of that pillow, will you? I said, yeah, he's okay. So I took a few feathers out of there, and I made it like it was an arrow. I put some fletchings on that cotton swab and left it in my leg. Just for, kidding around, this and that. And my dad come walking in there. He said, he says, looks at me, looks at my arm, looks at my leg. He says, and signing to me, I thought you lost him. He looks at the arrow. I said, yeah, a lot of Indians in around here. He says, son, you haven't lost your sense of humor, have you? I said, no, sir, I have not. So that was, there were some fun times there too, but it was tough on a teenager, a young kid, and like I said, you guys are coming up to that age now, and kind of think about what we went through back then. Of course, times have changed, big time. But that was that was quite an experience, an eye-opener, and had I waited a year, my folks waited a year, I should say, and I'd been born in 1951 instead of 1950. A year later, they came out with a lottery, and that was, you guys know anything about the lottery? Your number was up. If you were like under 200, you're probably going to get drafted. But after that, you're probably okay. They had the lottery the next year. My number was like 230 something. Ah, man, missed it by a year.
How did they do it before?
What's that?
How'd they do it before that?
That just, you went in there. It's like when I went, they called me up in the Army, being drafted. Well, first I got a student deferment, first time I went in there. So I got out of that, okay. And so the second time, the Marine Corps got me. We were in there, there's 30 of us in there, and I didn't take the blood test and I didn't take the urine test. Most guys didn't. The guys in there screaming in the bathroom, anybody have bad urine? Anybody have bad? $10, $10. So you could use their jar, you know, so they wouldn't have to draft it. Well, of course, you know, everybody's in panic mode. No. And we're sitting there in our underwear and t-shirt, and there's 30 of us in there. Marine Corps sergeant come walking in. He pulled 5 of the biggest guys out. He says, welcome to the Marine Corps. I says, no sir, you can't do this. I have rights as a human being. You can't do it. And I says, I won't allow it. He just smiled. Just, I'll never forget that big old grin. Big grin on his face. He says, yeah, you betcha. Come on in my office, would you, buddy? He said, Mr. Smartass. He called me Mr. Smartass. Yeah. Then I said, poof, boy, I said, I didn't take the blood test. I didn't take the urine test. I said, what's your name? I told him the name. He says, here, you did just fine. Oh man, I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble. So that we get that all taken care of, and I don't know how I'm in la la land. I just man, I don't know what's going on. I just many things going through my mind as a teenager. I wanted to go to college. Oh man, and so I get to boot camp, and drill instructors there, and they are not the nicest guys in the world, and. Well, it seems here we have a Mr. Smartass. Says we can't draft. I'm looking around. There's 82 of us there. And I'm looking around. Maybe there's another Mr. Smartass. There wasn't. So, oh man, Mr. Smartass here, huh? Oh, I tell you, I got beat up pretty bad. I mean, they beat me up pretty good. Yeah. So we had to come get your ass, huh? Yeah, okay. Too good to join my Marine Corps? And I said, oh man. But I'm a squad leader. I did pretty good. As a matter of fact, here about 8 years ago, a drill instructor. We lived in Eastern Oregon, big long driveway. He's out there in there honking his horn, rental car. He's from Vermont. He just had retired, and he come up there and he says, "Remember me? Richard Ains here." I said, "No, I don't remember you." And he says, "Sergeant Ains." Boy, I tell you, he must have seen me just. Boom. Yeah, I remember him. He used to beat the heck out of him because his sister lived in Portland. And he says, "Oh, messing with my sister, huh? Messing with my sister. She too good? You can't ask her out, this and that?" Bam, bam, bam. Oh, he just don't. Every day. "No, sir. Private doesn't even know your sister, sir." "The heck you don't. Don't. You probably got her pregnant by now." Oh, jeez. And so he stopped by and he says, "We all right?" I said, "Oh, give me a break." Yeah. A lot of water underneath the bridge. And so we talked for 7 hours. And he says, I says, "Why'd you always pick on me?" He said, "We picked 5 guys out of the 80-some in there that we knew we could beat up and they could take it. Don't think that we didn't see us give thumbs up to the other guys and wink at them and stuff like that." Or, okay. So, you know, it just went on. That was part of the training, you know. I felt sorry for those guys. But, yeah, he told me, he says, "I'm going around, I'm retired now." He says, "I'm going around all the states and visiting all the recruits that I remembered." He says, "You were number 1 on my list." Made me feel pretty good. I says, "But why'd you send me to 19? Walking Dead." He says, "We knew you can handle it." I said, "Jeez, thanks a lot, buddy." But we still stay in contact, and he come and go to the reunions and stuff like that. Yeah, so he's a pretty good guy. Boy, he was mean before though. And the wife took a picture of us. We have a big pond out there by the flag and stuff like that in Eastern Oregon. little short brown guy. And here I'm just towering over him, and I was scared to death of him. That's what drill instructors can do. Boy, they're the meanest people on earth. But they had to be. They were doing a job, but some of them carried it a little too far, but that's all right. We came out of it all right. Nobody died. Guys got a couple broken ribs. Other than that, wasn't too bad. But oh yeah, like I say, it was quite an experience. Would I trade it for anything? Maybe a trip to Disneyland. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'd have to think about it. Yeah. But it made a better person of me. Made a leader of me, and I knew my leadership abilities. And because in high school, I played sports and things of that nature. But I was bullied quite a bit, being how I had handicapped parents, and I was a tall, skinny kid. I got bullied quite a bit, and I had a lot of fights at school, a lot of fights. Picking on my parents and stuff like that, Bullying is the most horrible thing in the world. But then after a while, I felt, man, I was a sophomore, and I'd beaten up seniors. Whoa, this is all right. Yeah. So I started getting some respect. I said, man, this is it. This is all right. Because I wouldn't put up with it. After a while, you get a bully, I pick on you. I would, bam, I'd just pop them. So I guess the leadership ability came out of me then. I got some respect. Yeah, but that was my high school days. But I was raised on a farm. My granddad, my parents had 4 kids, and say they were deaf mutes, and they weren't the richest people in the world. So they sent me off to a farm in Eastern Oregon, 3,000 acre ranch, I should say. So I was raised in Eastern Oregon. And matter of fact, we had a ranch in LeGrand, just out of LeGrand in Cove. I don't know if you guys know where that is. But we had a ranch out there. And I was postmaster there at the Grand Post Office. And we moved a little farm out of Amity. And boy, I just, to be close to the kids, we have 5 kids and 11, 12 grandkids now. And I just can't take it, so we're buying a place in above Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and back in the mountains. I gotta get back in the mountains. I gotta have my snow. This flatland stuff is not for me. They call these mountains out here. I'm not putting you guys down, but they're not mountains. Gotta have my fishing and hunting and out there, but just, I just got in. The wife told me, says, yeah, Bob, says, we gotta get you out of here. Says, this just isn't your kind of life. I says, thank you. So we sold the house, the farm, and we just put an offer on the house in Hayden, Idaho, just above Coeur d'Alene. What's that?
I have family that lives there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
They like it there?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, good. I've got a buddy that lives, Post Falls.
Yep, I know that.
He has 3 logging companies out there. I'm gonna go up there and help him,
That'll be fun.
because I'm still, I get too bored. And my nickname in Cove was Busy Bob. We had a meat shop there. I was a guide, hunting guide, and worked full-time at the post office. I was always doing something. Busy Bob was my nickname.
The post office there in Cove?
No, in LeGrand. Yeah, LeGrand. I tried to get in Cove, but that guy wasn't gonna budge. He was too good of a job. He wasn't gonna budge for anything. Yeah, but, so we moved down here, but we're heading back out. It lasted 4.5 years. All my buddies are saying they're surprised I lasted 4.5 years. Yeah, I just gotta get back in the mountains. Yeah, it's just my thing. You bet. But that was any more questions about the war or any of that nature? It's okay. I've got. We have time.
Yeah.
Okay. One other instance I wanted to tell you guys, but really it's dear to my heart. After I told you the instance where my buddy Bill Prose, just a neat guy. He was my M79 grenade launcher. Cut his leg off, what was left of it, put a tourniquet on there, smacked him in the head. Well, his shoulder was gone too, his face was gone, but he was screaming. And he was giving us away because the enemy soldier came up over the log and looked right at me. My buddy over here says, there's one. I had a hold of him. Well, he threw a grenade on me, peppered me pretty good. Then I grabbed one of Bill's grenades and got him. But I took it pretty hard, took it real hard. And one of the buddies, he blew his foot off, and he was down below, and they're waiting for somebody to come help him. They were using him as bait. And so as soon as somebody ran down there, they were gonna nail him. So we had to let him stay down there and scream and cry. He made it. And so I took it pretty hard, and we're regrouping. We're gonna move out 10 more miles the next day, call it 10 clicks. We're gonna move out, and the lieutenant says, "Where's Sarge?" "Oh, he's back there where Pros got killed. He's taken it pretty hard." And LT comes up to me, "Lieutenant," and I'm sitting on that log, and the enemy's in back of me. They're picking up their dead and wounded, and I'm hearing them. And he said, "I took all my fighting gear, put it in a pile, and I'm just sitting on the log with nothing." And he says, "You know what's behind you, Sergeant?" I says, "Yes, sir, I do." He says, "Not a good idea." I says, "Well, Lieutenant, I'll tell you what, I'm tired of killing people. I don't want to kill another person as long as I live. I'm tired of seeing my buddies die. I can't take it." I says, "I've had enough." I says, "Either let them come up behind me, cut my throat, finish it, or else let me go home." I says, "That's the two choices I have." I said, "Nothing else." And to show you how good a lieutenant he is, he took all his fighting gear off, put it on top of mine, set him on the log next to me, put his arm around me. He said, "Sergeant, you know you're gonna die over here, and I know I'm gonna die over here. We got some damn good men. Could you help me get a couple of them home?" I said, "Lieutenant, I can do that." He said, "Get the hell out of here." So we picked our gear up and off we went. But that's that put it in a nutshell right there. You just get tired of killing and seeing your buddies die, because it's just tough. In one instance, I shot this guy. Oh man, it was towards the end, and I felt bad. He's over there flip-flopping, and oh Jesus. So I went up to him, and I was going to console him and try to help him. You know, after a while, enough's enough. And so he was an NBA soldier. He was an older guy. He'd been there quite some time, and he calmed me down. He goes, "I was pretty young, my guy. Oh my gosh, you know, I did this to you." And he had a chest wound, and he breaks out his wallet. And I said, what's going on here? Are you going to pay me to kill him or what? What's going on here? He breaks his wallet out and shows me pictures of his wife and kids. Oh, jeez. You talk about hurt. Man, I just like ripping a guy's heart out and stomping on it. Oh, jeez, I'm so sorry. I felt so sorry for him. He gave me a medal that he wore around his neck. I still have it. Well, it's in the museum now. And he told me to wear it. I picked up the language pretty good over there. I really, I'd go through a village and I'd ask questions. And so he was telling me, you know, about his family, and he wasn't going to make it. He was gone. And lieutenant comes up to me, "Sergeant, we're fighting a war here. Doing what you do is sad. If you have a wounded one, you shoot him in the head, because they come up behind you. That's war. That's part of war. It sounds horrible, but that's what you have to do. That's what they did with us too." He said, and I said, "No, Lieutenant, his war is over. He's not the enemy anymore. He's happened to be a good friend of mine now." He says, "Well, we'll talk about this later. He said, we got tension down here. We got an ambush to set up, this and that and this." So I said, "That's fine." I said, "My other men will take care of it." But that's what you're put into